What's going on, Lakers fans, and welcome into episode 47 of the LakeShow Flow. I am your host, Gio, as the Lakers get a huge win against the Mavericks in Luka's return to Dallas, one of the greatest revenge game narrative performances and a homecoming that I don't think anyone will be forgetting this one anytime soon. But before I get into the game, I just want to say, if you're new here or you've been here, please leave a like on the video, comment, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. But as I said, this game will not be forgotten anytime soon. And honestly, for the rest of Luka's career, it damn sure ain't going to be forgotten by Laker fans, but even Dallas fans that were emotional when he got traded, that were emotional seeing him come back and play. It was just such a warm welcome that I anticipated that the fans would embrace him and would cheer for him, but it was just next level. Like, you see the tribute video, Luka has tears in his eyes. He couldn't hide it, and even if he was trying, he couldn't hide it. It was all over his face. He had to ask for a towel before they even put the video up. He knew it was going to hit him, right? And he goes from that to flipping the switch to demon mode and dropping 31 points in the first half in a very competitive half, and then 45 in the entire game. Luka Doncic, JJ Redick said it in the postgame. He said Luka's ability to go through that emotion, sit there in it, letting it all just marinate and feeling it and actually letting himself feel those emotions, and then just going right into the game once the lights turn on, still teary-eyed, and then just lock in and just go crazy on his former team. And it almost, like, I even said it in my last video yesterday. I said, Luka's going to probably just feel right at home. It's going to be a homecoming. He's going to feel like, okay, let me just put on a show one last time for you guys. And it's not going to be the last time. The Lakers play the Mavericks multiple times every year. But you're only going to have this game one time. You're only going to get that tribute video, for the first time ever. You're only going to get that experience one single time. And he went crazy in that one single time. And so seeing that as a Laker fan felt amazing. I'm sure there was a lot of emotions as the Dallas fans saw their boy come back and put on a performance. And, a lost part of this entire trade is Anthony Davis was playing his first game against his former team, which is the Lakers, obviously. And, since being traded for Luka, he hadn't played. Luka already played them, but it was in LA. And AD wasn't able to play that game. So this was AD's quote-unquote revenge game as well, except he really didn't do much. And I don't know if it was the crowd getting to him, because every time Luka touched the ball, the crowd was just erupting. Every time Luka was at the free throw line, the crowd was chanting, "Fire Nico." Like, it was insane. And if you don't know who Nico Harrison is, he was the GM that traded Luka Doncic and insinuated that Luka wasn't a winning player, even though he just took this team to the finals less than a year ago at this point. And he literally was kind of talking down on Luka, saying that this team is trying to focus on defense. That's why they got AD. And so anyways, I just feel like maybe AD's emotions were kind of like everywhere, because it wasn't really his game. It wasn't really like he was being embraced. It's like, okay, this is your former team that you're going against. And I don't know, maybe it psyched him out, because in this game, he only dropped 13 points on 5 of 13 shooting. And he did grab 11 boards. He had 6 assists. The Lakers were making sure and making an effort against him on defense. But at the same time, even the commentary was saying, like, AD wasn't really being aggressive. He was sitting at the three-point line, and he wasn't really, making a point to score the basketball. So I'm not sure. I honestly, part of me doesn't feel like AD is going to finish his career as a Dallas Maverick. I just don't. I feel like it just doesn't look right to begin with. Maybe that's how Dallas fans feel looking at Luka in a Lakers jersey, but I just don't see AD remaining on this team. It would surprise me. But yeah, he didn't show up in this game, but like I said, Luka drops 31 in the first half, which was, in this game, was a relatively competitive game, like all the way through until the fourth quarter, where the Lakers LeBron just started exploding, going crazy in the fourth. He ends up with 27 points. And then Austin Reeves, a little quiet today. He only had 11 points. It was the second night of a back-to-back, so you knew someone was going to kind of be a little, they're going to have some heavy legs today coming off of that back-to-back. And then Dorian Finney-Smith only drops 5 points, 1 for 6 from 3, had a lot of open shots, and Gabe Vincent, quiet as hell too, 0 for 3. So the bench didn't really show up at all. We only got, let me see, 9 bench points. Dalton Connect, actually 11 bench points. But I don't remember Connect being out there in meaningful minutes. He only got 2 minutes tonight. So honestly, we only got 7 bench points in the flow of the game. And most of our top guys performed, like I said. Even Rui, he dropped 15 points on 3 for 7 from 3, 5 for 10 on his field goal attempts. But like I said, this was just the Luka show. And it was just the way it needed to be. And thankfully, not thankfully because we already feel some type of way, obviously. We're still gonna feel those emotions of that referee that ejected Luka from the game yesterday. But it kind of was a blessing in disguise for him. He got an extra quarter of rest besides, him resting the night before and then going back to Dallas. So in a way, he got some rest, right? And he turned up in this game. He let all the emotions get pushed. It even made me get a little teary-eyed just seeing Luka sit there looking up at that jumbotron, and the broadcast just stayed, the camera just stayed with him. It was like a picture-in-picture thing. You had Luka on one side and you had the video on the other side, and you could just see him reacting to all the memories, the community that he embraced, and they embraced him back. He never saw himself leaving the Dallas Mavericks, and that was one of the main things that was just so shocking about it. Luka loved Dallas. Luka is very loyal. A lot of these European players that come into the league, they're very big on loyalty. And so it was a backstabbing moment for him to be traded. And then obviously this return is emotional because he embraced the community. He did a lot of things for the kids out there. He did a lot of things for the people out there. They embraced him since he was a young 19-year-old getting drafted to their team. So it was a lot of emotion, and you could just see it. And he might not have issues with the fans because they love him. He loves them back. He might not have issues with the staff that, the people that worked in the arena, his own old, his ex-teammates, some of the coaches. But you can see that there is animosity there in terms of the ownership, the GM that traded him, Nico Harrison. And apparently, I saw a report after the game that the Mavericks were trying to reach out to some of Luka's brands that he, is represented by, and that he represents, and they declined. The Mavericks trying to do some like sponsorship collabs. And so that's basically, they stressed the point that Luka is a Laker now, and that they weren't interested in trying to collaborate with the organization to promote anything. So to me, that tells you a lot about he's not really going to try to make them any more money off of his name. He's fully committed to being a Laker. They even asked him after the game, do you feel closure? And do you feel like you moved on? He said closure is a big word. It has a lot of gravity to that, to even think about closure. He said it's getting better and he has different things to focus on. So he said, yeah, it's just time to move on. So I'm just glad that he got this experience. And JJ Redick explained too that he was talking to one of the other Lakers assistant coaches, Greg St. Jean. And I guess Greg told him that this was going to be a huge moment for the team because the team's going to be there going to war with them and being there for him as he experiences all these emotions, and that they go to war together and hopefully get the job done. So hopefully this emotion being so late in the season, the Lakers only got 2 more games. And only one of those matters realistically because you just got to win 1 out of 2 to lock up playoff position. So if they do that on Friday, the Rockets are coming to town. If they beat them, then they lock up the 3rd seed, and then they could just rest on Sunday against the Blazers. And then we got a week of rest into the playoffs. So with this type of emotional, emotion-filled game being something that Luka experiences right before the playoffs, and then with his performance, he's locked in playoff mode when all the pressure is on him, when all the emotions are at an all-time high. He shows up and he gets the job done in this homecoming game that could have gone either way. He could have been in a slump. He could have been overwhelmed with emotion. He even said in the press conference, the post-game press conference, he said, I saw the video and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to play this game. And to say that and then drop 45 points, JJ Redick called it superhuman. And honestly, there are very few humans that could get that done. So I guess it is superhuman, to be honest. And Luka Doncic is one of those guys. And it proved to everybody that if you had any doubts, obviously, I love AD. And I feel bad that he was kind of an afterthought tonight. And realistically, in the grand scheme of things, him and Luka are going to be compared for the rest of their careers just to see who won the trade, quote unquote. But unfortunately, this kind of just leans so much credence to the fact that Luka was the better player long term and right now in this trade, Dallas did not give up enough. Not gave up enough. They didn't receive enough. They got AD, who's obviously a great talent in his own right, former Laker champion, right? Can't forget that. I love AD. They got Max Christie from the Lakers, who is an up and coming 3-and-D player who can do it all on defense, and then obviously he's got some offensive things that he's improving on. Definitely one of my favorite young Lakers we had. And then they get a one first round pick from the Lakers. When we saw a guy like Mikal Bridges get traded to the Knicks and they had to give up 4 first round picks. So obviously on paper, it was a lopsided deal. The Lakers got the craziest bargain of all time, all because the Mavericks did value AD. And Nico Harrison, if you guys don't know the history and the lore and all this stuff, Nico Harrison was a close friend of Kobe Bryant. He helped basically get Kobe to sign with Nike, and he was like his go-to guy when it comes to Kobe Bryant and his his Nike deal. And Rob Pelinka is he was Kobe's best friend, and he's now the GM of the Lakers. So they had that connection through Kobe Bryant. Anthony Davis is also under the Nike brand, and someone that Nico Harrison has been cool with him and Kobe, and they've always been really good friends. And he really wanted AD on the Mavericks. So that connection is what led Nico Harrison to trading for AD and believing in AD so much on the defensive end as a two-way player. He believed in him that much that he was willing to give up a generational talent who was only 25 when the trade went down. He's 26 now. And he gave up that for an aging superstar. Like I said, I love AD, but he was 31. I think he's 32 now. And when the trade went down, I believe he was 31. Could have already been 32, but either way, he gets a veteran guy like AD, former champ, like I said, talented in his own right, but everyone knows that trade was lopsided. All tonight did was lend credence to all the fans on the Lakers that knew, holy shit, we just got Luka Doncic, a young generational talent that could possibly end up being the face of the league one day. He's in Hollywood now, under the bright lights, wearing the purple and gold armor. He's our guy for the next 10 to 15 years. Like, holy shit, we just hit the jackpot, right? And all this did was validate all of that because we knew that he was the better player. But then in the first game where they play against each other, he drops 45 and AD only drops 13. Like, I feel for AD, but I also feel amazing to be a Laker fan. I feel bad for some Dallas fans. I saw a post on Twitter from I believe it was a Slovenian Mavericks fan that said, I'll actually go to the tweet right now because I actually started getting a lot of love for my reply on that. But she said, Lakers fans will never know what Luka means to Mavs fans. They get to have him on their team and enjoy him, but it's not the same and never will be. And so I said, we get it. He started his career there. Y'all watched him grow. We can't help it that he was traded here, but he's entering his prime wearing purple and gold. Not the same process, but the appreciation will be just as passionate one day. I said, we'll take good care of him. Don't worry. And I got a lot of people that liked it and commented, and one of them said, well said. Y'all will love him and his loyalty. Enjoy watching greatness on a nightly basis. And so I just thought it was like a healthy interaction, just, being able to let them know, we understand. That's your boy. You guys loved him. And, then someone commenting saying, like, you guys are going to love his loyalty and enjoy greatness on a nightly basis. And that's exactly what I feel every time I watch. It's like I haven't been this excited about watching the Lakers since we had Kobe. And I get it. We had an era of LeBron and AD, and they brought us a championship. Trust me, I get it. But seeing a guy like Luka on this team, I said it when the trade went down, we get to see him grow. Because, the Mavericks fans saw him go from a 19-year-old kid, wet behind the ears, growing into his NBA form. But we get to see that prime Luka, and he's still young. He's only 26 years old. And so we get to see him grow into a champion one day because he made it to the finals with the Mavericks, but he can win a finals here with the Lakers. The Lakers are a big market. We're always going to attract superstars. We have LeBron. We have Luke. We always find the next guy. And so my excitement just stems from the fact that I saw Kobe since he was young, since I was young, seeing him become, my idol and just idolizing Kobe and, him being my favorite Laker ever, seeing him win championships. Like, that's the same process I feel when watching Luka. And because I've already discussed this, Kobe and Luka share a killer mentality that's just different in terms of how they approach the game, the pettiness, the, shit talking to fans, even though it gets you ejected apparently if you're Luka. But they share that mentality and that killer instinct that like I said, LeBron is just more of a silent killer. I've said this in another video when I had this little Twitter beef going on. People got mad at me. But like I said, this is the most excited I've been watching a player since Kobe Bryant on this Laker team. And I can't help but be excited. And I hope that the emotions behind this game carry over to the playoff run. And as of right now, just a little update for you guys. As of right now, the Lakers are the 3rd seed. Like I said, they win one more game. They secure the 3rd seed. They're going to play, as of right now, the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round. Then they get the winner. They stay on the bracket where the Houston Rockets are, the number 2 seed. Then they get to play the winner of the Rockets versus either the Warriors or the Timberwolves. So whoever wins that, if the Lakers get through Memphis, they would play the winner of that. And then on the other side of the bracket, you got the Thunder versus the winner of the Kings and the Mavericks, who the Lakers just played tonight. And then they will play the winner of the Clippers and the Nuggets. So to me, the Lakers are in a great spot. I hope that everything stays the same. I saw a comment where they retweeted this picture I'm looking at of the brackets, and they said, everybody just stop moving, like don't move. And I feel the same way, because if the Lakers play the Grizzlies in the first round, I feel like that's a cakewalk. I'm not going to lie. Like, that just feels like such an easy matchup. And then you go to round 2 against the Rockets, Warriors, or Timberwolves. I mean, damn, to me, the Lakers could beat all those teams. The only one that scares me would be the Warriors. And they have a battle to even get there, right? They might not even win the play-in matchup. They might lose, and they might have to end up playing the Thunder in the first round. So a lot of things can swing even more in the Lakers' favor, because even if the Thunder beat that side of things, they got the Clippers or the Nuggets in the second round, which is just nuts. Like, this could all line up, and a lot of the time it doesn't even matter like how good your team is. And I believe I've said this before, but it matters who you play, and that's the most important thing. The Lakers have already secured a top 6 seed. They get one more win, they secure the 3rd seed, and they stay on this side of the bracket, away from the Thunder, possibly away from the Nuggets, possibly away from the Clippers, who are tougher matchups. And then 2 out of the 3 teams that they could possibly play, between the Grizzlies, the Rockets, between the in the second round, between the Rockets, the Warriors, and the Timberwolves, I feel like 2 out of those 3 teams would be an even easier matchup in the second round, which would be the Rockets and the Grizzlies. The Warriors, like I said, they're a little worrisome. They are a good team. They have more experience than these other teams, so it would be a little tough. But I still think the Lakers win against any of those teams. I think the Lakers are shaping up to be in the Western Conference Finals, as long as they don't get in their own way, as long as they continue this, because we've seen the good and the bad and the ugly when it comes to this team. They've had ups, they've had downs. Like, it's been tough sometimes. The defense is starting to lock in. Luka is starting to look like prime Luka. He's starting to actually do his thing, like, to the highest degree. He drops a season high 45 points at this point in the season. Tired legs everywhere, a big emotional narrative that could have been holding him back, but instead he embraces it and gives the Dallas fans like one last beautiful performance, to close that chapter. Because like I said, you only get this return game one time. Now every game in Dallas is still going to be something. I love that the Dallas fans have embraced him coming home like that, to a place he called home for the first, 7 years of his career. But you go from all that emotion to going crazy. I keep saying it. And then now you can take that momentum into hopefully a playoff push, a Western Conference Finals appearance, and then a Finals appearance if they can knock off OKC, which now we got a little rivalry there because of the whole referee situation. But I just been yapping now. It's been I don't even know how long this episode is going to be. I haven't even looked at what I'm clocking in at, but it's just so much that I had to talk about, so much I had to touch on. Even though Luka was going crazy, shout out to LeBron, who took over the game in the fourth quarter. He's been having like these little late surges at the end of the games, and it's good to see because I feel like Luka could get tired at the end. Luka does take a break at the end of the games, like in the start of the fourth. And like I said in the last, I think it was the last video, LeBron really has embraced being able to lead this team from a scoring sense and just start scoring and going off in the fourth. So it's been great to see Like, I think everybody's kind of shaping into form. We're managing Rui, his games played, very strategically. I think by the time the playoffs come, like I've said before, I think he is an X factor for this team, along with Dorian Finney-Smith and Gabe Vincent. But we do have the Rockets on Friday night, so I will be recording another episode to talk about that game. The Lakers just got done with a little road trip. They get to go back home and possibly lock up the third seed in the West on Friday. We will be back to talk about that one, and hopefully we're talking about a Lakers win. But for now, this finally ends the chapter of this revenge narrative / homecoming, all that stuff. It finally ends that, and now we can move on to a playoff push. But like I said before, if you're new here or you've been here, please support the channel. Leave a like on the video, comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you are new. But that's going to do it for the Lake Show Flow, and we'll see you guys next time.